Alrighty, guys, I'm Morthadon, and we are back for Boruto episode 58. Real quick, guys, don't forget there's still a poll going on. By the time this video reaches YouTube, it'll probably only have a couple days left in the poll. I have a video about it. You can check that out in the poll video, the description. There's a link to the poll, so that way you guys can find it. Unfortunately, you do need a Patreon account to vote, but it's free of charge to make one and all that. And just so you guys know, a little spoiler alert, right now it's tied between Seven Deadly Sins and Rising Shield Hero. So I'll probably just, you know, pick a number, I don't know, I'll find a way to randomly pick if it stays tied, or you guys who have yet to vote can go vote, maybe for one of those two if you want. There are other options, and you guys could swing that vote into, a win, for whatever show you guys want to see. It'll be replacing Reincarnated as a Slime. So, I know a lot of you probably from Boruto don't watch that, but if there's another anime on my channel that you guys do enjoy, aside from Boruto, maybe you guys will check it out. Anyways, without more of that ramble, we had, in episode 57, we had Gaara being attacked. We're still not sure why. While editing, I did confirm, I didn't really try to look, but I noticed that the guy's hook was just a little hook at first. Went into Gaara, came out, and it had like a little glow around it. Now, I don't know if that's that guy's ability and he was preparing to do something before Gaara pulled it out, or if he actually pulled something out of Gaara, so that might be a future plotline that we find out later on. But I just wanted to point out that I did notice that while I was editing. I mentioned that it looked a little different while I was, during the episode, but I wasn't sure, but now I'm confirmed. We had all of Phase 2 happen. Went by very quickly. It was a capture the flag team versus team kind of thing. Each team went up against another team. I had a little bit of confusion during that, but I did end up, figuring it out. It was a team versus team kind of thing. And now we're moving up on Phase 3, most likely, which is going to be one-on-one fights. I'm not sure if we're going to have any extra episodes in between, or if we're just going to move right into it, but I'm very much looking forward to whatever comes next, guys. So I say we just jump right into it and find out for ourselves what is about to happen. Alrighty, guys, so like usual, down in the description there's going to be a Vimeo link. You guys can click that link to go to the reaction. Very easy, one click away, and then you can come back here to the YouTube video for the discussion portion after you're done watching that on Vimeo. So yeah, guys, go ahead and click that link right now. So that is the end of episode 58, guys. That was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I apologize ahead of time for maybe a shorter discussion, just because I don't see a ton to talk about, but we'll discuss each fight and everything that happened and all that, and give my views on it, but it should be a shorter one, because as much as I want to like Boruto as a character, I'm a little disappointed at him at the moment with, how much he gives up. Like, he didn't even try to use his shadow clones. Now, I would have understood a little bit more if he threw a bunch of shadow clones at the guy and it still didn't work. But, this time he went straight for the device. The last episode I understood because it was a last resort thing that he did, right? He tried to fight with his shadow clones, and he did what he could, but he lost, and, or he essentially lost, and then he pulled out the device and won the match. But here it was like, oh no, there's a bunch of these things that blow up when you touch them. Should I create shadow clones and throw them into them? Or should I use this device and just beat the guy right away? And he decided to go for the cheatsy device, but, he hasn't had any repercussions for his actions yet, so I thought the thing with his dad would make him more hesitant to use it. Not at all. It almost seems like it enticed him to use it even more. He got praised by his dad for winning, so now he's just like, I want to win again, Obviously, he might not be in that exact mindset. That's just me throwing stuff out there, but I guess that's, I mean, I don't know. I obviously still absolutely love the show. Don't take my disdain for Boruto's current actions for disliking the show, right? Because I absolutely love Sarada. Mitsuki's, awesome. He's, even though he's a few words sometimes, I talked about this with one of you guys in the comments of one of my other videos of how Mitsuki can kind of like just smile and you know what he's thinking. And I love that. I love a lot of the characters. I also love the other teams too, Shikadai and all them. Chocho's even wearing on me a bit. And it's not that I hate Boruto, it's just the phase that he's going through right now is just something I'm not the biggest fan of. But I'm sure he's going to grow out of it and he's going to become a character I like in the future. And I'm looking forward to seeing that growth. So that's like one of the biggest things. Especially once he gets heavily criticized for using this technology, I'm sure. But yeah. We moved right after that fight. We moved right into shoot. I'm forgetting the order of the fights. It was Shikadai's fight. So the girl was able. I was wrong. I thought she had headphones in, hindering her ears, so that way her eyesight was better. But it was the opposite. She uses the sound from her earphones to help her with her amazing hearing. It's kind of like, if you guys ever watched the TV show Heroes, there was someone on there that had amazing hearing, could hear like footsteps from like a mile away, but that made it so she got like super headaches and stuff like that, so she would listen to music to try to give a focal point for her powers and be able to control it. And it reminds me a lot about that, which is pretty cool. And she somehow whips her hair forward and does like a sonic attack, which is pretty cool. And I thought it's interesting because I'm not sure if it was a mixture of both, but the paper bombs exploded when they got hit by the sonic attack, and I thought that was what made them explode. And I thought that was a little weird because I thought they had to like send their chakra through the paper bombs to make them blow up or something like that. So I was like, it's kind of weird that them just getting cut up, like we've seen people crumple them up and throw them aside and they didn't blow up. So I thought that was a little weird, but I'm pretty sure that's just Shikadai set them off on purpose in order to mask the sound of his footstep when I guess he had to step down to do his shadow possession, and managed to use her strength as a weakness and caught her, just walked up and held shuriken right to her neck, and she gave up. So very difficult but easy win, I'd say. Like, I know that's weird to say, right? But I'd say that as soon as Shikadai figured out how she did what she did, the match was over, essentially, right? Because obviously Shikadai is smart like his dad. Maybe not as smart yet. I'm not sure. Either that or he doesn't have like as much practical application for his smarts. He is smart. I just don't know where to compare him to Shikamaru back in the day. But anyways, regardless of that, not like it really matters that much. I really enjoyed Shikamaru's reaction, where he just like cheered in the stands and all the Kages are looking at him because like their teams are losing, and he's cheered and it's kind of disrespectful, but it's just like so innocent and awesome because that's just how he really feels. He's happy that his son won, and that's great. And he like immediately had to apologize and everything. I really like that moment. That was really cool. And then that was followed up by Sarada, I believe, who just dodged the first hit and punched her opponent into the wall. There's not much to say about her opponent. I thought she was going to do some kind of genjutsu kind of thing on Sarada, and I was like, well, that's not going to work because of the Sharingan. But because she said, like, my reality, usually when people talk a lot about, like, look at my reality and stuff like that, they're gonna do some kind of illusion kind of stuff. But nope, just went in for a swing. We don't know really what that girl was capable of because Sarada just smashed her into the wall. Which, this is a great contrast for Boruto because Boruto struggled and had to use like a cheatsy device, whereas Sarada just demolished the person, you know? And it's such like a stark contrast between the two, where one's cheating and I don't like it, and then there's Sarada who's just a badass and I love it. But I feel like since the show is called Boruto, I should like Boruto, right? But Sarada's my favorite character. What are they doing to me? No. I It's kind of refreshing to fall into the enjoyment of a main side. No, I guess Sarada's a main character. I can't consider her a side character, but someone, like Naruto. I really like Naruto throughout the whole show. He had that great underdog story going and everything, and there's a lot of people that don't like rooting for like the main character in a show because they feel like it's too obvious, so they make their favorite characters something else. But I've always been the kind of person that's just like, this guy had an underdog story, this guy's strong, even though he's a main character, I love him, That's how I always was. And I still am with a lot of shows, Midoriya from My Hero Academia is my favorite character, and then, but on here, Sarada is my favorite character, who is obviously not like the main character, because the story mainly centers around Boruto. We get a lot of screen time for Sarada as well, so, I don't know what to consider her in like main side character or just a second main character. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Either way, she is my favorite, obviously. But seeing her finish the match was awesome. I loved the way she kind of like cheered, and Sakura cheered too, and they're both like, "Sha!" That was really cool. I love that. And yeah. I guess that's all I really got to say about her fight. It ended so quickly. I absolutely love it, though. The next was it Inojin after that? I think so, because he talked smack to Sarada and said your opponent was easy, and she said, no, I'm just that strong. And then he went out, he ended up losing to that masked guy who we didn't even get to see what he could do. All we know is that those paper bombs for some reason didn't hurt him, which is very curious. Honestly, I think out of all the characters, he's the one that made me the most curious, Obviously, we know that the sand guy, Shinky, I think his name was. I tried to remember it there at the end, and then I got really distracted because the episode ended so suddenly. But even Shinky, I think, like, I'm curious what he can do if he goes all out, right? But we saw a decent amount of him during the capture the flag thing, where I'm like, I get the basic premise of his ability. He's Gaara with black sand or whatever it is. It might not be sand, but, he controls his black stuff just like Gaara did, And he obviously probably has a lot of tricks that Gaara didn't do, I'm sure they're not just going to do a copy-paste Gaara. But, in the same regard that Boruto does to Shadow Clones, and, took that from Naruto, but he doesn't do the exact same stuff that Naruto does, But what I was trying to say is I'm way more interested in that masked guy right now. Out of all the characters, I'm curious about him. Just because those paper bombs didn't even leave a mark on his jacket, And they also didn't show how he finished off Inojin, which is very much them just saving time. They don't need to show us, like, beating Inojin with a stick, But it also could be that he has more up his sleeve, so very, very curious about that. And then we had, after that, and also, I kind of predicted the loss based on the fact that how many Leaf Ninja were winning. I figured someone had to lose soon, and, Inojin was up next, so it just happened to be that. So I don't really take much pride in that prediction, but it's a thing. But who was after that? It wasn't Chocho, right? We had another one, Mitsuki, I think it was. Either way, we'll talk about Mitsuki's fight, and then we'll try to go through and try to remember anybody we missed. Mitsuki's fight, he got really into it. He got cut, and I also noticed that the cut was gone when he started doing the Sage Mode thing. So that's interesting. very curious about that. But he almost entered the Sage mode, which he was told not to use in this tournament. And he caught himself. He was really getting in the moment, which it would have been really funny if he actually did use it and just obliterated the guy. But I think there would have been like a lot of backlash because, you know, they said he couldn't stay in the village if they knew he had that ability, you know? Because he's a way, like, if he activates that Sage mode, he's gotta be the strongest one out of any of the kids there, right? Arguably. Obviously, we don't know what they all can do. We don't know what Shinki can really do. But there's no way... I don't think even with the device that Boruto... Oh, excuse me. I don't even think with the device that Boruto has, Boruto could win against Mitsuki going all out, you know, stage mode and all. I'm not even sure. I don't think Serato would win. I don't think any of them really would. But yeah, anyways, it was just really cool. He ended up just, like, gaining his composure back and using just the snakes to wrap up the guy very easily. But yeah, I wonder if lightning style can still hurt Mitsuki a lot. Like, if you're able to wield the lightning style, can you, like, channel it too in a way? Like, if you get hit by it, could you, like, run it through your body and utilize it? Or can lightning style people still hurt lightning style people? I'm sure they still can hurt them. It's just to what degree. But anyways, I really like that. It was cool seeing... you know, Mitsuki getting in the heat of the moment, almost losing his composure, because he's always so composed, you know, for the most part. And then, I think, is that all the kids? That covered all three of Boruto's team. That covered, Shikadai, Inojin, and then Chocho's the last one. Don't worry, I know Chocho, I know that's the last. I'm just trying to make sure I have everything else. And then... there wasn't another team, right? So that's it? It's just Chocho after that, I believe we saw? I think? Yeah, I think so. So, the fight against Chocho, like I said during the reaction, as long as I kept it in, I don't think Chocho's gonna win because Shinki is too big of a, like, too hyped up of a character to not make it past this round, you know? And even though a lot of times you see people make those threats like, oh, I don't know how to hold back, sorry, and, you know, then they end up losing, I don't think that's going to be the case here. Maybe Chocho will put up a good fight, and I think Chocho can put up a fight, right? I hope it's not just over instantly, especially since they ended the episode like this. If they're gonna end it instantly, they should have ended it instantly this episode and not next episode, right? So, I'm hoping to see a decent fight, because Chocho is strong. I make jokes about Chocho because she's goofy, and she's a quirky character, but she is strong, right? Like, that you know, expansion jutsu type stuff is crazy good. And I could see her putting up a fight, but... just based off character development, I don't think that Shinki will lose. Because we need to see Shinki fight possibly Boruto, or at least make it farther and really impress, you know? But yeah. I wish I had more to talk about, honestly, but I think that pretty much sums up most of my thoughts and feelings and, you know, everything. I think next episode we're obviously going to get into... the fight between Chocho. We didn't really get a good look at the bracket, so if I really looked back and analyzed it, I might be able to figure out who's up against who next based on what order we saw and stuff like that, but I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm going to leave it to be a surprise, I think. I know some channels try to do predictions and stuff. If it gave me like a full screen image showing me every fight, you know, and their names up the brackets and stuff like that, which it well, no, because yeah, no, I'd have to go through and really like write it down and mark it down and everything to really figure it out. Maybe I'd do predictions, but I guess I can do some really high up predictions where Oh man, that's actually rough because obviously because of the show name Boruto, I think he might make it towards the end. You know, this is also assuming that they don't get interrupted by the evil people on their way, the Otsutskis. But I think Boruto might make it. I actually think Boruto might lose in the next round. I think Boruto might have to fight possibly one of his teammates next, and he won't be able to use the device to like its maximum efficiency because of it being a team member, and they're gonna realize, you know? Because they know what he's capable of. They were even surprised by the curving shuriken, but they kind of accepted it. But I feel like if he did, like, anything on the scale of that water style and lightning style again, they're gonna be like, you're not capable of that kind of thing. How'd you do that? So I almost think that Boruto is gonna go up against one of his teammates next, and he's gonna lose. I think that's my prediction for Boruto. And it might be against Sarada, and Sarada might end up winning. I obviously said I think Shinki's gonna win. And then I think Mitsuki is going to continue to win. Mitsuki might lose to Shinki because he can't go all out if I'm going to, you know, make predictions all the way up. Shikadai may end up losing to Sarada at some point through the brackets, making it up. And then I think it might be Shinki versus Sarada, possibly, as the final matchup, if it makes it to the final matchup, you know? And I think... I have no idea who would win. I think Shinki might win just because, you know, he counters raw power. But I think we could see some really cool stuff from the Sharingan making it around Shinki's sand or whatever. And I could also see a world where Sarada wins too. But I guess that's pretty much my very rough predictions. Like I said, I don't have a thing in front of me showing the matchups, so if I figured that out, I might be able to more accurately predict. But that's just based off how I could see the show writers doing this, based off the way the tournament has gone so far. But very much looking forward to seeing the rest of this tournament. I hope we do get a clear winner. That'd be really cool, since it's something we didn't get in Naruto, because it got interrupted. But I would also be very excited to see this whole thing, you know, this is kind of like a dual arc going around with the Otsutskis and the Chunin exams, and seeing the Otsutskis come more into the picture and get more answers to how that all is going to go down would be very cool too. So, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you guys did enjoy, you can hit that subscribe button. You can also go into the description, check out my Patreon, where you can get access to full length. So if there's any parts in this episode you're mad that I cut out, you know, if you want to support me on Patreon, you get access to full length and be able to see the entire episode, watch it right along with me. And yeah, and there's also early access as well, so if you want to see ahead of time. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can see the next episode right now, you know, by going to Patreon. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.